Hello everyone, this is Gunder Gapi. In this video, I'm going to show you how to work with the Final Cut add-on. To clear the confusion from the initial video where the workflow was explained a bit too fast for some people, and I wanted to show you in this video on how to make it work. So it needs two things, the mark sharp edges and the selected faces. So initially, you have to mark sharp the edges that you want as Final Cut details. Then you're going to use something like loop cut, and slide. So that's Control R, or you can use K. That's the knife. So one of the tools you can use to create edges in the mesh. And let's design the Final Cut detail. So mark sharp, mark sharp. So I'm using Control R, adding those loop cuts. So a good thing about Final Cut versus the random panels is that Final Cut can uh, doesn't need the subdivision, so it can work on ingons or tries or ingon topology. Yeah. So we have our mark sharp edges. If we use the Final Cut operator, you can find the Final Cut operator in the W hat key in edit mode or in object mode. It can work in both modes. So Final Cut, no selected faces. So after you mark sharp the edges, you need to select the faces that covers those or contains those edges that you have marked as sharp. So for example, so let's not deal with this part yet. So for example, I want to create the Final Cut details on this part, on this face here. Okay, so this is where I want my Final Cut detail. Okay, so I then design the Final Cut detail using the mark sharp edges and then selecting the area that includes the selecting the area or sets of faces that includes those mark sharp edges and then use the Final Cut operator. So let's since this covers all of the faces, I'm going to press 8, select everything, and then use the Final Cut operator. Okay, so you can use the operator to view what you're doing, and then just press Ctrl Z to undo afterwards, and then work on the design a bit more. So the mark sharp edges needs to be contiguous or must be touching uh, uh, the borders of other mark sharp edges. So for example, they should not be cut like this. So mark sharp. So they should also be touching the symmetry line or the non-manifold edge. So if this doesn't meet that condition, you can see that this is the result. We get pinching here. So the rule is clear sharp and clear sharp. So the rule is the mark sharp edges needs to be contiguous. It needs to touch other mark sharp edges, or it needs to be closed like this one here. Mark sharp. Okay, so touching other mark sharp edges or touching the symmetry line if the mesh is using a mirror modifier, or touching a what we call the non-manifold edge or terminal edges. Okay, so it doesn't result in a pinch. So like the ones we did here where the lines ended up here, and it should be continuous, and this edge should also be marked as sharp. Okay, so we'll just continue designing this one. So the add-on respects the, or takes into account the mirror modifier. And because of the way it works, it doesn't need clipping like random panels in random flow. Get rid of the lines. See, that's one of its advantages. So after designing your panel cut um, pattern, you can use the inset inner. There's an inset outer here when you're using the clear faces outer, but that's for later on. And we have depth, that's uniform. The margin, and that's going to have make the margin between the face islands that creates the panel cut details. So if this is gone past 0, then you can see that the merge option is no longer there. And we have the height. The height can be randomized if the min max values has different numbers. Okay, so bevel, we have the min max as well, and you can also randomize this. And also using the bevel, if the values go past 0, the merge option is no longer there as well. And we have the bevel segments, increase the segments of the bevel, and the angle limit. So it's much like using the bevel modifier. And we have the bevel seed, that's to randomize material index to inherit the material from the source mesh. Number one is if the source mesh has an active material, it will use that. And 0 is the first material in the material stack of the source object, and 1 is second, 2 is third, so on. Okay, so clear sharp. If you toggle this, then the edges that you marked as clear sharp from the source object will be gone. So we don't want that. We're not finished with the design yet. Okay. And also this menu, if your menu or redo panel is not does not do the effects are not live when you modify the one of the properties like this one, and it has an OK button. If it has an OK button, if you press the OK button, the redo panel will show up here, and then you can click it to maximize it, and then you can modify the property values. Then the changes will be live, same as here, same as and also you can after pressing the OK button, you can also press F9, and then it will be this. The menu will be the same as oops. Okay, that's because I have this. Okay, so if your redo panel has an OK button and it's not like mine, go to press F4 in the 3D viewport preferences, system, and check global undo. If you uncheck this, you can see that the menu now has an OK button. If I change the one of the if I modify one of the parameters here or the properties, there's no change unless I click on the OK button. And now you can see the redo panel here, maximize. And if you modify the properties, you can see the live changes in the mesh. And uh, you can also show this in the 3D viewer by pressing F9. So if you want the redo panel to be like mine, go to preferences, F4 in the 3D viewport, system, and check global undo. There we go. So the change you can use the none as an OK button to instantly get the effect or the result of the script. So none creates that's the part one of the options of the clear faces. So you can use this as an OK button. So you don't have to actually change the numerical properties. Okay. And the options, we have the options here, inner and outer. Inner gets rid of the top faces and leaves you only with the faces that constitutes or creates the Final Cut details. And outer only preserves the top faces, and the faces that creates the Final Cut details are removed. So this is what it looks like. The oh, not that. 0. This one. So you can create a bunch of other effect here as well. If we press none, then it will have that. This is inner, outer. Okay, so inner, outer. If you select inner, outer merge will also begin. So you can no longer merge this. So merging with, so for example, if I select this part here and merge, then that will be a part of the mesh. So this is the destructive version you can use. And the non-destructive is, of course, using the default, which is merge panel, not turned on, and this is a separate object. If you turn merge panel on, then the result will be merged or welded into the source mesh. Okay, now panel cut, selecting everything. And we have the inner, outer. If you press it, you get the floater toggle. So this is actually a render trick, and this will only work with cycles. Okay, so let's edit this. Depth is a bit thinner, and this is thickness. Okay, so let's give the source object a material. Oops. And I will activate the lighting by just using a simple HDRI and hide the texture. Okay. S for the shader nodes, shader editor, new. So let's give this full metallic and a bit of roughness, and base color a bit dark, and render. Okay. So if I use this inner and toggle on, so without floater first, you can clearly see that this is because of the shadows and because the resulting Final Cut object is sorry about that. Because this the resulting Final Cut object is affecting the diffuse and glossy and also casting shadows on the source material. You can see that this uh, this is obviously a separate object from the source object. Source object being meaning that the object we used uh, for the mark sharp edges and the selected faces. So if we toggle on floater, now it looks like the resulting panel object is looks like it's part of the source object underneath because it turned off for the panel cut object. It turned off the in the object properties. It turned off the ray visibility for the diffuse, glossy, and all the rest, except for the camera. So when we render this, it no longer affects the or results. Yeah, affects the diffuse, glossy, and also cast shadow for the other materials in the scene. And if we turn this on, you can see the difference. And for most angles, you will see that um the you will see the trick working except for some really close up shots like this. Of course, it will no longer work like that. But for most angles, the trick is working. So this is the floater trick, and you can also use this with um. So that's inner, and we have the outer with the floater toggled on, and there there's no shadow. So we have to use the. So you can see if I use just increase this. If I toggle on outer besides inner, except for inner and none, if you toggle on outer, then you will have the inset outer besides the inset inner. So we have the main inset, which is this one, and toggle and using outer, we have the secondary inset, which insets the resulting faces, and we can use this to uh, go negative with the depth and reduce increase the thickness. So basically create a something that like an indentation. There we go. And it's kind of like developing a. So that's what it looks like. And if we render this, So you can see that this part is kind of like going down, and this is going up. So this is kind of like valleys, and this becomes the peaks. But if you look at the geometry, you can see that there are no faces in this one, and there are only faces here. So if we render this, you can see that also it looks like it's part of the mesh underneath. And you can also use this with this isolated face here. Just make it work here. Outer. So depth, instead of going up, go to the negative side. So the height is decided by the initial or the inset inner. Okay, that's the height, and this is the, there we go. So you must make it look like this, and be careful not to overlap the mesh. And this is the thickness, the inset outer thickness, and the inset inner thickness, of course, the initial thickness of the, if we use none. So if we render this, you can see that it looks like this is a part of the mesh underneath. And you can create a bunch of this. Mark sharp, outer. See? So it looks like part of the mesh of the source object underneath. And in actuality, it is a separate object. So you can use this for a lot of situation, the floater technique or the floater toggle. And you can, besides that, you can also use you can also raise it up to make a raise detail. So that's the one of the uses of using the floater technique, which you can do with the add-on. Floater, I mean none, and offset is 0 and 0. A bevel offset is 0 and 0. Okay, let's get rid of this F. Okay, so that's our floater toggle. And let's go to our presets. So presets, you saw me use the restore operator defaults. So whatever you set here, and when you confirm the operation or move, select that and then do another operation. So the previous operation is now confirmed. You can no longer summon or show its redo panel. So this is now our panel cut object. And so basically what I'm saying is when you confirm the operation, the properties, the values that you have set in the properties are inherited in the next operation. Okay, so you can use restore operator defaults to restore the default that has been put in the script for this operator. And with using the operator presets, you have to create your own. There's no bundled presets here, and you can create your own using the plus icon. So for example here, we set it like that, and the depth. So this is just an example. So for example, I have this kind of uh, preset. So I save this, I name this, give it a name that makes you remember what it does. So margin small. Okay. Okay. So when I use the operator again and basically when working, use other property values, and when I want to use the presets again, I just click this and use the margin small, and I can keep reusing that uh, in any other object. So to get rid of this using the minus icon, you have to activate it first. So that's the only caveat for this. You have to activate the preset first, then use the minus icon to remove it. Okay. So what else did I miss? Did I cover everything? So this add-on will have more future updates. So when you're seeing, be careful. Be when you're watching the videos, the video title will have the version number. So just watch out for those because this will still have future uh, updates to it that will increase its functionality and uses. Okay, so I hope this that clears up some of the confusion with the add-on. So remember, mark sharp edges first. Design your mark sharp edges. The tools you can use: Control R, K, for the knife. The options are here. So for example, C, cut through, and then A to snap to angle. You can see it right here. So if I draw something like that, and I want to draw another parts again, just right click and draw, and then I think space to confirm. No. Yeah, space to confirm. And you can also use Control T. That can also be used to generate lines like that. And then Control E if you want to rotate the angle, and Shift R to repeat the action. Or you can use Control J. Basically, this will join vertices. You can also laser through vertices to connect them, connecting separate vertices that are remote from each other, J. So you can also use that. So for example, so like that, and then straight through. So J, and then yeah, then Control T, triangulate. So that's one of the those are just a few of the tools that you can use to generate the edges in the mesh. And after you've designed the edges, and then you must be contiguous, remember, then you must select the faces that includes those edges. So basically, you select the faces first in your mind, So for example, I want those panel cut details here in this part. Then you design the using these border faces or sets of faces. Then you design the panel cut detail here. And then when you finished, select the initial faces that you planned to select, and there we go. See? So it only needs two things: mark sharp edges, and then select the faces that encapsulates or contains those mark sharp edges, and then either in edit mode or in object mode, use the operator. Okay, so that's it. And I hope you learned something from this video. And also, I hope it cleared up some of the confusion that has been um, generated by the first tutorial video because it was too short. Yeah. So if you have any questions, be sure to use the comment section or the links in the description. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.